I've never been sold on a book as quickly as I've been sold on Thrum. I saw one of my mutuals post about it, reading it in like one sitting on a plane, and then I got a video from the author, of like a little teaser thing of like you're in space and you're stranded, and then a handsome voice comes on the comms or something like that. And I was just like, sold, sold, sold. So I did the very privileged thing of requesting on NetGalley straight away, and they didn't get back to me for ages, but for some reason, like the day before I think it came out, or very close when it came out, I was approved. So yeah, welcome to book club, where I talk about books I recently read in all spoilers because I'm sick and tired of selling people books, and I just want to chat about them and the things that happen without being mysterious. For some reason, I really, no, it's not for some reason. I have dyslexia and I'm really struggle with the title of this book. It's Thrum, I believe, because it's supposed to be the sound like thrum, 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 but that's not how I would spell that sound. I don't know how I would. I have been calling it Thrum, and I don't think that's what it is. I don't really know. I should look it up. Thrum, from. Ah, you know what it is? I think it just might be a Northern Irish accent thing. I want to say it like from, like my accent in the like ways that we say things like floor and shire and flyer and all those sorts of things. I want to say it like thrum, from, thrum. I don't really know. It's an under 200-page horror story about a woman who wakes up after stasis in deep, deep, deep space, and everyone else in her crew didn't make it, and she's no hope. There's no fuel, there's no communication systems, and she calls out a signal for help, and someone in deep space answers and invites her aboard. That's, I think, all you need to know to read this book. It's interesting. It's interesting. And yeah, that's the spoiler bit out of the way. So go if you don't actually want to know anything about this book. Anything from now on will be complete spoilers. Let's talk about Dorian first, because I feel like he's the main selling point of this book. Because in a lot of the art and stuff I've seen floating around as well, it's this like handsome man. Because Dorian is taking the form of Dorian Gray and choosing the name Dorian because that's what she likes. And like, yeah, I get it, but it's really hard for me personally because I just, maybe also because I'm not that kind of person that I would want to see Dorian Gray in space. I think if this was happening to me, I would be given just like like an attractive looking person in like a sci-fi outfit. What I believe to be a sci-fi outfit is what they would probably make for me to make me feel more comfortable, because I'd just be like, yeah, that figures. You would wear that, like a vaguely androgynous kind of outfit. I wouldn't be given a old-fashioned looking man because that's just so unnerving. I would want I'm sorry, I'm speechless just because it really does bother me. And I get that like that's what's making her feel more comfortable, but is it making her more comfortable? I feel like the ship isn't trying to make her feel comfortable. The ship / Dorian is trying to make her feel attracted to it, which is so strange. Like, I think maybe I'm coming at this not as a romance girl, also, and not as a horror person. I'm coming at this as a sci-fi reader. So it's all so strange to me. Yeah, icky, gross, gross. And then because of what we know, which, spoiler, this is your last chance to leave, because we know she has been there before and they've done this before, I'm wondering, did he always present as Dorian Gray? I'm thinking probably not. But we'll never really know, I suppose. Like, it'll never actually, because we won't know what her true experience of being on that ship for the first time with her crew was, because even as the memories come back, we don't know if that's been tainted by what's happened to her brain since. You know what I mean? So I can't imagine he's like picked up a bunch of people from Earth, read the welcome packet, and was like, I'm gonna gonna look like Dorian Gray. I imagine he kind of just looked like a general person. Unless I've missed it. I should skim that a little bit again. But I imagine he looks just like a general, what they would expect to be a kind of person from deep, deep, deep space. And then he would maybe reveal like, hey, I'm a weird Siamese ship guy. There's just something so horrifying about getting exactly what you want. Is that what love bombing is? I don't really know. It feels like the ship is love bombing her and being like, this is exactly the type of person you want to visually have, and like all these things. It's, yeah. And then you've got to wonder, what is Dorian's intention in any of this? Like, is it just company? The naive, I imagine, view of it would be, and probably her view of it at one point, whenever she was lucid and had all of the information, which, did she ever have all the information? Who knows? But he's the last of his kind. We've got like a Time Lord situation, and he's alone and he wants company. And maybe he wasn't being awful manipulative. Maybe he just wanted company, and the ship really did kind of get to her. And then you've got to wonder, why did it get to her specifically and not the others? Because it seems like the heart of the ship and all of its communication-y stuff in the center where she went has like really infected her brain, and messed with her, and it doesn't seem to have affected the rest of the crew. Did it just affect her because of her proximity with Dorian, or is it a more targeted attack? And I guess we'll never know. I hate that. What I loved about this book, and what makes me excited to reread it someday, is the like little bits that we're going to be able to piece together now that we know she's been there before and this has happened again and again and again. And I, for some reason, stupidly on my first read, didn't pick up on the fact that the stuff, that, so she wants to fix her communication thing on the ship, right? And she says to him that she needs these things, and he's like, yeah, I'll get them for you. And she's given these things, and they're all the right components to fix her ship. At the time, I'm thinking he's just kind of like keeping her occupied, keeping her mind busy, and like presenting these things. And it's the ship tricking her and making her see what she wants to say, like the plan. But now we know what we know, and we know that she was the one who destroyed her ship and did all these things. Those were probably just her parts that she took off the ship. Like, those were the bits that she removed. And then she comes back to him and she's like, you gotta help me fix this ship. He's like, yeah, I got the parts. You gave me the parts last time. So I think he was actually genuinely helping her out. But then, who moved the parts? Her? Did she move the parts? If the parts existed, is this her like space madness and she got rid of the parts? Or did the ship get rid of the parts because the ship never actually wants her to leave? I don't know. I don't know which one it is. Maybe I do need to reread this book. Maybe I should have been rereading this book before I actually did this video. Who knows? Maybe you'll see another video in a couple months where I reread it and go, actually, these things. What I love about these books is the ability to guess. So my running theory about maybe halfway through, whenever we find the comb in the room and she knows it's not her comb, it has to be one of her crew members' combs, I had a theory that somehow this alien had been waking them up in stasis one by one and doing this to them one by one. So I thought all of the members of the crew woke up individually, for some reason thought everyone was dead, and then he would do the call and they would come on the ship and he would do it to each of them. And she was the last one this has happened to, and that's why she's found evidence of all the others. And that was my running theory, which was wrong. It was wrong. I think this one's better. I wish I remembered when it actually clicked to me what was going on. God, I don't think it clicked to me until it actually was revealed, to be honest. My question is, when she's near to like the brain of the ship and she starts to like really lose it and he finds her, he says, I didn't realize how badly your psyche would be affected, that the ship's mind would consume you, coerce you, make you see such painful images. I didn't mean to. I have no control over what you see, only over what you ... What does that mean? What does that mean? What do we think? Because I have no control over what you see. But is him and the ship, are they not the same person? So is that a lie? Like, him and the ship are the hive, and he always talks about the ship like he has no control over it. But if you're both like one consciousness, you not have some control over what she sees? I think so. But who knows? Maybe so. Let's just say he's lying. But then what's he saying here? Only over what you remember? Maybe? I don't know. I would imagine so. But then why would he make her forget? If she comes back every time and she's come back for him, then it doesn't matter if she remembers killing her crew, surely, because she killed her crew to be with him. So you'd think he'd be fine with that. So what's he got control over? I have no control over what you say, only what you I feel like it's got to be remember, right? Yeah, very strange. You know what I hate? The ship. Gross. We don't know, I suppose, if this ship really is this like organic squishy thing or not, but it's I can only assume that's correct based on what Dorian said about the ship being alive and what that seems the illusion dropping rather than shifting and warping into a nightmare. Who knows? I hate that. I really, really dislike organic ships. I I don't just think it's not my type of sci-fi. I had to stop reading. Is it the Stars or Legion? I think it's the Stars or Legion. I just couldn't do it because they are in fleshy ships and all the holes are fleshy and I hate it. It's so gross. There's also a short story like that as well. I can't remember her name. Okafor, maybe? I don't really know. But where the ships and the people was it Rebecca Roanhorse? I'll put it there. The ships are like living being things, and then the ship and the person are one and they have like a relationship and it like morphs and changes. In my head, that's the closest thing I've read to what Dorian and his ship are. But also I've been watching a lot of Pluribus. So in my head, it's just a hive mind. Everything's a hive mind since watching Pluribus. Speaking of Apple TV, so much running through hallways. I can't have someone running through a hallway now without thinking about Severus. I'm just picturing Marquez just running through the hallways like she is. Especially because it's like this image of like really long, never ending hallways that never really lead anywhere. And that's exactly the like 90% of Severance is them just running through long hallways. I love running through hallways. I love Severance. That's got nothing to do with this. On the horror of it all, for me, this was the perfect type of horror because it wasn't. I really dislike the final girl kind of horror books, and technically, she kind of is the final girl, but not in that sense. Not in the like trope way of it being the final girl. I just really don't like watching characters die one after the other. It makes me sad. not cut out, not cut out for horror. But I love the like tense, weird, what's going on kind of horror, and then we've got a little bit of gore in the ship bleeding and stuff, but not really like major gore, which I'm just not really a fan of. Anyway, I really liked it. I can see a world where some romance people would accidentally read this thinking it's going to be like a dark romance, and it's not. So I can see that coming up in the future, but for me, as someone who doesn't enjoy dark romance at all, this was great to me. It was a pleasant surprise that it actually wasn't like finding a dark, broody alien and he's like morally grey and they go off together. So this was perfect for me that it was actually a space nightmare. Yeah. So overall, really liked it. I wouldn't put it as like one of my like 5-star like top reads of the year, just because I think it was too short for me to become like obsessed with it. And I need to be obsessed with the book to feel like it's a 5-star. Like I need to be thinking about the people when I'm not reading it and all that sort of stuff. And that just didn't happen with this book. Probably just because it also really isn't my genre to begin with. But I still really liked it. And I will be rereading it, which does put it quite high up because for me, I rarely reread books. But this book is interesting enough and has enough like really fun threads to follow on a reread that I would be genuinely excited to reread this, even though I'm a slow reader and I barely read any books in the year. And this would make the cut. It would make the cut. Thank you for the NetGalley copy. I didn't manage to finish it before it actually came out and get this video out with like good timing, but I didn't have to pay for the book, which is huge for me because I can't afford to be buying books at the moment. So yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on this book. What you think and who would this shit be showing you to trick you, make you fall in love with it? Who would that be? Absolutely bizarre choice, but I think this ship would show me someone like Robert Sheehan in the Umbrella Academy.